All right, family, and we are now live. Shout out to everybody that was live with me earlier. In my tribute to Brother Panic, we are live now for a very important show. I mean, extremely important topic. I've been talking about this topic for quite some time. I'm glad to finally get somebody on here with many years' experience to talk about this very important topic. I'm about to bring my guest on, but before I do, as usual, family, get comfortable. We'll be on here for about a little over an hour tonight. Get comfortable. Hit that like button. Tell your friends and family. We all out here making babies, so this is something that everybody should watch, relate to. We know our family is having babies. Everybody could truly benefit from this show. So tell a friend and to tell a friend. Brother Rich is live. We're having a serious, amazing, dynamic topic tonight. We'll be right back. I'm gonna bring on my guests. Want people to fill in the room. Let's get to this quick Holy Ghost 3 commercial. And we'll be right back, family.
Started out with nothing. Now I got a whole lot of something. Breaking through the roof. Willy Wonka when he pressed the button. When I do a money ritual, all of a sudden money started coming. Then I cut the Holy Ghost. I still be rhyming even when I'm mumbling. You repeat my name 3 times while you staring in the mirror. Body will appear like poof. I came from out of thin air. To me the gun is like a magic wand. I make a problem disappear. I would nigga tape out his mouth. What? Just to turn him to veneer. I can do magic. 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 When I open up my mouth, I can move masses. Black magic on the beat, turn it to a classic. I'ma take the money out the bank, then I'ma put it in a mattress. Tell me the niggas got.
All right. So without further ado, I got a midwife with me today, Midwife Sakina O'Uhuru. Welcome to the platform.
Thanks for having me.
Indeed.
Great to be here.
All right, Sakina. The topic of home births so scary for a lot of us.
I know,
Scary.
right?
When we hear about home births, we think about what if something goes wrong. So I'm glad that, but it's something that I feel is very important for our community. A lot of things are going on in the hospital in terms of maternal deaths.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have this conversation and to tap into the whole idea of having a midwife, having a doula. These are terms that a lot of people aren't familiar with. So to start out with, please explain, Sakina, what exactly a midwife is.
I'm glad you asked that question. So let me just say this: midwives, the profession of midwives, the art of midwifery is an ancient practice. And midwives are practitioners, healthcare providers who have been trained to offer healthcare services to expectant mothers. So we are able to take care of them while they're pregnant, support them during the labor and the delivery, as well as the postpartum period, and also offer newborn care as well. So hopefully that helps.
And how long have you been involved in midwifery?
I've been practicing the art of midwifery for over 25 years, and I love what I do. It's part of who I am. It is my purpose. I feel like it's my purpose in life, my dharma in life. It pretty much speaks to every component of my life. And, a lot of people don't know what midwives do, or they say things like they're still doing that. And it's like, we have been using midwives. I'm saying here in America and abroad, Europe and Africa, midwives is an old profession, one of the oldest, really. And so, yes, we still exist. Maybe not in as many numbers as we used to. During the early 1900s, there were thousands and thousands, and particularly Black midwives, particularly in the South, up until the early 1900s, before they, I want to say, monetize reproductive health. But traditionally, all women were birthing at home. It's not until I want to say it became a profitable business did it move into the hospital.
Mm.
And so it's really important for people to know that women have been birthing babies for centuries, be it in their homes, backyards, in the Amazon, wherever they
Mhm.
are,
Mhm. Mhm.
because women are made to birth. Their bodies are, physiologically, made to birth babies. So whether there's a doctor present, midwife present, the baby's coming,
Mhm.
regardless of the setting. So I know that, most people have been indoctrinated to believe that pregnancy is is something to be feared, or it's a pathological process, when in fact it's a natural phenomena that happens in the lives of most women. But we've just been indoctrinated to believe that, women, when you get pregnant, oh my God, you got to go to the hospital. Oh my God, something's wrong. Oh my God. We've been, I want to say, brainwashed or indoctrinated to believe that this is a fear-based process or something to be afraid of, when in fact it's a natural unfolding that happens in the lives of many women.
Mhm. So, I don't know if it's because of the diet, it could be because of the stress, it could be because of a number of factors, but I feel as though from what I'm watching, women are having more birth complications than they were, let's say, 20 years ago. Now, my question to you as a midwife would be, are you prepared to handle these complications that these women appear to be having while giving birth, or is midwife service something that caters to women with a more holistic diet, a woman that's more already got her health together, and then you could come to a midwife? Or do you cater to all women, whether you have complications or you don't have complications?
Well, generally speaking, midwives take care of low risk women, women who are healthy, or women who do not have a comorbidity, meaning, for example, someone who doesn't have a heart problem or seizure disorder, or hypertension coupled with hypertension,
Mm,
pre-existing hypertension or diabetes. So
mm,
most midwives who are going to, home birth midwives are going to really take on women who are low risk,
mm,
healthy individuals. So if you have a complicated, pregnancy, that's you probably belong in the hospital.
mm.
But generally speaking, majority of women who are low risk can birth at a birth center, can birth at home, can be cared for by a midwife. And most births, that have been assisted by a midwife have better outcomes. Those women who have midwives that assist them in the hospital, birth center, or at home have better outcomes in terms of lower C-section rate, lower low birth weight, a lower low birth weight baby, lower rates, meaning we don't have babies that have low birth weight, is what I'm trying to say. A lower C-section rate,
Mhm,
lower episiotomy rates. So we're less likely to intervene with the natural physiological process that happens in birth. We're less likely to, intervene with some type of medication that puts you and baby at risk, or instrumentation like vacuum or forceps. Those things put women and babies at risk, or
mm.
pitocin, or
What's
something that's going
forceps?
to.
What's a forcep again? What is that?
That's an instrument that's used to pull the baby's head out,
Oh Lord.
which causes, nerve
Ooh,
damage to babies.
Jesus. Ooh, Lord.
So we're less likely to put mom and baby at risk for those kind of complications, which really have lifelong complications. And so that's why midwives are, I want to say, experts at healthier outcomes.
Mhm.
And also because we integrate who you are into the way that we offer care, into the way that we support you. It's like, where are you in your life cycle? Are there some stresses we should be aware of? What do you do for a living? How many children do you already have? Are you single? All of those things are important to us. And particularly in my practice, anyway, foundationally, it's really important for me to create a trust currency, because in that and nurturing that type of relationship, you will feel more comfortable revealing to me those kind of stressors or things that might be going on in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and I can address them accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really important to build trust. Those relationships, to me, really form the basis of a healthy relationship and better outcomes.
Do you feel as though C-sections is a hustle from the hospitals? Do you think that's a hustle?
That's a good question. It could be for some.
Mhm.
I'm seeing more women having C sections at 37 weeks and 38 weeks. It's like, can we give the baby a chance to develop and mature? I'm seeing women, they're being given that option early on for very little, very, I want to say, unsubstantiated reasons, non-medical reasons for a C-section, because you want to make a vacation trip, or the doctor
Yo,
to make a vacation trip.
Sakina, a nurse, when my lady gave birth, a nurse literally told me and my lady that doctors give C sections because they got somewhere to go. They
See?
want to go golf, and she literally told us that. A West Indian nurse, and well, I
Mhm.
ain't gonna say the hospital, but she
Okay.
literally told us that. We was like,
Uh-huh.
wow. So yeah, that's not far fetched.
It isn't, but I want to say that, I want to believe that that doesn't happen normally. I want to believe that. But there is a high C-section rate going on in a number of cities and a number of hospitals. Some hospitals C-section rate is off the wall, double digits, more than 30%. You know, I think the World Health Organization said the C-section rate shouldn't be more than like 15 to 20%. But some hospitals are 49%, 50%, 60. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So some are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Those women who are having fetal distress, or low fluid, it has to be substantiated. It's like, what's the medical reason for it? There is a place for it. I'm not saying that, you know, is unnecessary all the time, but we need to be clear about the reason, you know, and so those things are important.
How do you think, we live in a different society than we did in the 60s and the 50s. Women work much more than what they have. More women have 9 to 5s. A lot of women stayed home and they
Yeah.
were, at
Mhm.
home. They worked from home with their children and took care of the household. How
Yes.
much do you think women working a rigorous 9 to 5, like a man would do, same job as a man, whether it's construction, phone company, moving up and down the
Yeah.
stairs? How do you think that has affect birth with women in births
Hmm.
in,
Hmm.
in, in a negative way? Like, do you think that has
Right.
a negative impact on women in pregnancy?
Well, certainly some positions, some jobs are more stressful than others. And, stress can have a negative impact on the mental, emotional well being of women with child, an expectant mom, which can be, translated to the baby.
Mhm,
So, yes, stress plays a critical role in the health and well being of moms. And so, working while you're pregnant, well, some mothers work all the way up until they go into labor.
mhm,
Certainly, I'm going to advocate for, trying to either cut back your hours or, going part time, having an early, medical leave. So, because stress can put you at risk for preterm labor, it can increase your risk for high blood pressure. Definitely, I would advocate for working less.
I wonder if stress even prevents a lot of women from being able to get pregnant because of the stress and because of what they go through. I wonder that sometime.
It could be, and measuring that kind of stress, because sometimes we have m- emotional stress. Our
Mm,
thoughts become our emotions,
mm,
and
mm,
our emotions can be translated, physically, physiologically. So it could play a major role.
mhm,
Really, it could play a major role.
mhm.
So It's really important to recognize that when women are with child, it is a sacred time, and I think sometimes we forget
Oh
about
yeah, yeah,
that.
we forget. Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
so
it's really
busy.
a sacred time. It's a time for her to really, be loved up on. She needs more love. She needs more kindness, more grace, more respect. More dignity, and women need to choose providers who are aware of that and can offer that grace,
Mm,
that the humanity
mm.
you know in taking care of women during that time. It is precious. It's a monumental event in a woman's life, and I think we've moved away from that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
We just moved away from the sacredness of it. It's like honoring who she is and where she is in that part of her life.
yeah.
We need to get back to that you know
So many of the women in the chat have questions. I'm definitely going to get to your questions, and the brothers got questions as well. What do you think?
Okay.
You have over 20 years of experience. What would you say is the most important thing for a woman to do while being pregnant? Like in terms of the health, to have a healthy pregnancy, what's like number one on your list? I hear so many different things from different health people. From a midwife's perspective, what's number one on your list?
So, well, really, number one on my list is really being honest with yourself. It's like really sitting quietly. If you don't know, then sit, quietly by yourself. Take some time out to really get quiet and connect with your spirit self and really find out what's really important to you. It's like, what's important to you for this pregnancy, labor, birth? Is it to have the baby at home with dim lights, with candles burning, with Vicarian or meditating, or having your playlist? Is it important to have grandma there, 10 people present at your birth? Or is it more important for you to be in the shower and meditating and being left alone? It's like, what is really, really important to you? When you think about your labor birth, what's the first three things that come to mind?
Mhm,
Is
mhm,
it, I don't want anyone to touch my baby when is it, I want my partner, my husband, to birth my baby? Is it, um, I want the Adhan or the El Fatiha to be spoken to my baby? Nobody to say anything, silence. Is it important to keep the cord connected, until it stops pulsating? It's like really sit quietly and say to yourself what's important to you,
mhm,
not grandma, not the in-laws. What's important to you? Not the
mhm.
doctor, not the midwife. What's important to you? What do you want to transpire during this time? Even if it's your second pregnancy, your third one, your fourth, what is it about this pregnancy that you want to do differently?
Do you notice a difference in home births, like just the outcome of home births when a man is present or a man isn't present? Like, have you noticed a difference throughout all the years?
Oh, absolutely. I love when the fathers are present. It's
Mhm.
like so important
Right.
to honor who they are, their position in their family, their presence. We definitely engage and encourage partners, fathers, to be present. I want to hear his voice. What are some things that are important to him, and how does he want to show up? I think it's really important for the couple to understand how they can support one another best. And she needs to be very vocal about how she wants him to support her, because how he thinks he should support her might not be how she wants to be. And
Mhm,
what he thinks is helping might not be.
mhm,
So it's really important to hear his voice and his position and to make him feel welcome. Because so many times, in these hospital environments, they're separated,
mhm,
or they say, wait 1 second, you stay in this room, and then they take the mother away. It's like, in my practice, there's no time to separate. There's no reason to separate the mother and father, the
mhm,
couple.
mhm,
There's none. Why are we separating them? They're one.
mhm.
So he should be with her from the very moment they step into a hospital birth center environment, or if I step into their space. There's no reason why I need to be separating them.
Mhm,
No, he is just as important as she is.
mhm.
You know? So
Is squatting better than laying down? I've heard in the community I am.
absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people criticize laying down, giving birth, the woman.
Yeah, on the back.
Yeah, talk
Yeah.
to me about that. So yeah, talk to me.
Yeah. So during my home births, we encourage women to walk around, use all the furniture, all the rooms, use your space. It's your space. It's your home. This is where love lives. This home should speaks volumes to who you are. So use it in the way that you feel will help enrich this process. So we encourage women to use all positions, eat, hydrate, walk around, hum, sing, dance, squat. Of course, we encourage positions that will help baby come down and out.
Mhm.
So squatting is one of those positions. And of
Mhm.
course, lying on your back kind of goes against, it just goes against the natural physiological process. So
Right.
we encourage women to squat if they want to be on their side, if they want to have one leg up, they want to use a chair, if they want to be in their bathroom, if they want to be in the living room, basement, it doesn't matter. For us is whatever space feels the most comfortable for you. If
Mhm.
that's your bed, if that's the floor, if that's the pool, if it's the shower, it's like, where do you feel the most comfortable? So the
Mhm.
midwife provider needs to be open to that. And she needs to be open to hearing and seeing what is needed. Sometimes there's nonverbal, communication. So it's about taking the temperature in the room as a practitioner, doula too, doula and midwife. You got to take the temperature. It's not always about what you want to do. Oh, I got to do this. It's about being quiet and assessing.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
is it she wants you to do?
Mhm. Yeah, no, definitely.
What
Yeah.
does she want you to do?
Mhm.
And then ask permission. Do you want to try squatting?
Mhm.
There's different ways to squat. You can squat in between your husband or your partner's legs,
Mhm.
and put all your weight on his leg. He's sitting,
Mhm.
your back is to his back, his legs are open, and you're right there. Or squatting and he's standing and you holding on to his waist or
Yeah,
hand. So there's different ways of doing it. You can squat in the bed too. You can
indeed.
squat in the bed. So, you could do that in the hospital if they let you.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
Squat
Oh,
in the bed in the hospital, get on your side, semi sitting. You have to always be all the way back. Put pillows behind you. Your
mhm.
partner can get behind you, and you all could literally be like semi sitting up.
Mhm. Mhm.
So laying on your back, that's passe. It's like that.
Mhm.
Women, we shouldn't be birthing on our backs.
Mhm.
It really goes against gravity. It goes against the natural process. And babies want to come down and out.
Yeah,
You're making it hard for them to work. You laying down.
right, right, right,
That's your
right.
baby. Give your
Indeed.
baby some energy and some
Yeah.
love.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Let me ask some questions because I know the sisters got
Sure.
some questions in the chat. Growth Peace Love wants to know: can you have a natural birth after three C sections?
You can. You can. Um, it depends on the comfort level of the practice. Like I think that he's asking home birth. I don't know. You certainly can have a vaginal birth after 3 C-sections in a hospital environment. So
Mhm.
the worry is the wound going to open up
Mhm.
where the C-section was?
Mhm.
And what type of C-section is it? Usually transverse inside the womb,
Mhm.
meaning horizontal incision is a better outcome, meaning there's less unraveling of that incision when the those pregnancies occur and the woman is in labor. The worry is that with the contraction during labor, that wound will open up.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's why people are or doctors are less likely to want to do a vaginal birth after C-section. But so the answer to the question is yes.
Mhm.
What setting is the most safest? Well, for me, I'm going to say if you had 3 C-sections, I think the most safest place is the hospital. Why? Because there were 3 C-sections. They went in 3 times in the incision. And, you know, you may have an increased risk for it unraveling. Now, if that question was one C-section, then I'd say, yeah, you can
Mm-hmm.
try having your baby at home,
Mm-hmm.
vaginal birth at home after one C-section,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
especially if it's been at least 12, I want to say 24 months, but if it's been 12 months or more, it's better.
Mm-hmm. I
So the
see.
longer you wait, the less your risk for that wound to unravel.
I see a lot of people who are asking about the difference between doula and midwife. I'm curious about that too. What's the difference between a doula and a midwife?
We get asked that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So a doula, first of all, let me just say I work with doulas all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I love having doulas at my birth as long as they are working collaboratively in partnership and they're not antagonists. Um, so yeah,
What
the
do you mean by they're not antagonists? I'm just curious. Why did you say that?
because I've been in many situations where I've had doulas that were um, I want to say antagonistic towards me, my practice, or contrary.
Mm.
So, like I'm telling my client or advising or supporting my client in this way, and they are telling the client to do the opposite. That's what I mean by contrary or
Yeah.
antagonistic,
Uh-huh. Okay.
undermining,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and we're not working in partnership or collaboratively,
Uh-huh.
working for the mom and the best outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about leaving your egos at the door
Mm-hmm.
and working for the best outcome. We work for her
Mm-hmm.
and we work together. So we are medical providers. Most midwives have gone through extensive training and have either gotten a certification through sitting through a board and have state licensure. Most of us.
Mm-hmm.
Doulas, they do have educational training, but it's usually over a weekend or, a week. Midwives, I have a master's degree in midwifery. I have a Bachelor of Science degree. I happen to be a certified nurse midwife. I also happen to be a certified professional midwife.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get into both routes.
Right.
I literally have a training program called the Woman's Way Warrior Midwife Training, and I train midwives. That training program is 3 years, and once they complete that training program, they can sit for the boards and become a certified professional midwife.
Mm-hmm.
So, certified professional midwives are recognized in about 36 states. Certified nurse midwives are recognized in all states.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I hope I answered the question between doula and midwife.
Mm-hmm.
I know you said that.
Indeed. Another good question. Are underwater births a good thing?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Water is calming, it's refreshing. It helps diminish some of the pain. It takes the edge off the pain. It doesn't take it away completely, but it makes you feel good. Most people, if you like water, it will help you calm. It help you feel more calm, which if you're more calm and less stressed, you can connect a little bit better and cope a little bit better with the challenge of labor.
Mm-hmm.
So water is a good thing. It could benefit the birth. It could help mom cope better with the
Mm-hmm.
stress of labor. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Another question. What are good breathing techniques for natural labor? Very important. What are good breathing techniques?
I'm gonna say this. Whatever breathing technique works for you. So some people believe that he ha ha, and what I mean by that is a good breathing technique. Some people deep breathing. So to me, it's all about how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Some people want to breathe like, it's like, to me, I like to verbalize, but then again, some clients don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to meet people in the middle. It's like, some people go through I want to say, a birthing prep course, childbirth education, a home birth prep course, et cetera, et cetera. And that course might teach you how to breathe, but everybody knows how to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So what I usually do is encourage you to breathe slowly.
Mm-hmm.
just to breathe slowly or to breathe in a way that helps you cope better, meaning don't hold your breath.
Mm-hmm.
Fill your lungs with air and slowly release the air. Does
Mm-hmm.
that work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does quick, quick, quick or quick, quick, slow work for you? It's like whatever feels
Mm-hmm.
the most comfortable for you.
What do you think got women away from home births? Was it purely marketing? Do you think it was religion? What steered all the women away from having home births?
Ooh, that's a heavy question right there.
Mhm.
Okay, so uh, I want to say propaganda. I want to
Propaganda.
say indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say politicizing birth.
Mm,
I want to say uh, the shifting birth to a more monetized process,
mm,
you know. Um, so I want to say during the 1900s, there was a campaign to eliminate and destroy midwives
mm.
through the Flexner Report
What was that?
1910.
The
That was a report that was put out that was basically meant to encourage women to go to the hospital,
mm,
use hospitals more, and abolish midwifery. That, in concert with the Shepherd Towner Act, which was funding that was given from the government to states to try and diminish the high the infant mortality during that time, infant
mm,
mortality.
mhm.
And so, some states got creative
Right.
in the way that they thought these were effective ways to diminish infant mortality. And some people were hired who thought that they blamed infant mortality on midwives. Let me just
Mm,
say that.
mhm,
And so their thought process, well, let's just eliminate them.
mhm,
And so there was a huge campaign to eliminate and destroy them. And they did that through, imposing, criteria like, okay, in order to practice as a midwife, you need to get this signed by a doctor, or in order to practice as a midwife, you need to study this, or in order to practice, you had to have some type of criteria that other than was passed down to me from my grandmother's mother or my mother, or I was spiritually called. So
mhm,
those impositions destroyed a whole lineage of midwives, those specifications that couldn't be met by some of them, because some of those midwives couldn't read or write, but they knew how to support women in having healthy babies.
mhm,
Those were some healers, also known as granny midwives, grand midwives, who birthed a nation, the United States. Most
mhm,
births were done by
mhm,
midwives up until I want to say 1920s, 1940s.
mhm,
Most births were assisted and supported by midwives,
mhm, mhm,
until, this campaign to shift women from home to hospital and
mhm,
private, really just, I want to say, just profit, just understanding how we shifted reproduction from towards a for-profit
mhm,
process. So
mhm.
that, I hope, helped in understanding historically that
I,
shift.
I I love the way you explained the historical shift. I absolutely loved it. I didn't know about all the propaganda like that. So thanks for explaining that. Truly.
Yeah. Along with fear-based tactics.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that propaganda, the
yeah.
media was as a huge unwielding force. And
Media is that's a big weapon. Big
yeah,
weapon, media.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, another question in the chat. This gentleman asked a question earlier. A good question. Lots of sex before labor, is it a good thing? What do you think about people, a couple having a lot of sex while,
It
while
is good. I mean, sex throughout pregnancy is great.
Mm,
That's a myth that you need to stop having
okay.
sex. I mean, it's wonderful because it
Mm,
keeps them close,
right.
emotional connection.
Hmm.
Um, but the act of having sex, when she, is pleased and there's pleasure, there's oxytocin that's
Right.
released,
The
and
hormones. The
that,
hormones. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So oxytocin helps, contractions to be initiated. So
Oh, it does oxytocin. Yeah.
yes, oxytocin,
Mm,
yeah,
okay.
the love hormone.
The love hormone. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So any act of love, any act of love, whether it's massage and nipple stimulation, clitoral stimulation, vaginal stimulation, the act of love, the act of pleasure,
Hmm.
that is when oxytocin is released. We need to have oxytocin in order to have our babies.
Okay.
That starts the contraction process, along with a whole lot of other hormones and chemicals that are released.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know. Let me see. This is interesting. How did men come to flood the OBGYN space?
Yeah, again,
Is there
that
truth?
can't.
There's truth to that. That's true.
Well, yeah, I want to say, I think I said it already during the 1910 that Flexner report, and realizing uh, all the profits that could be made off the backs of women, all the procedures. So initially it was all women,
Right.
midwives, or women,
Right.
and then the shift into the hospitals, and
Right.
the AMA, men started being interested in reproductive health.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it is kind of an oxymoron, right? It's like all these midwives taking care of women, and now the shift is all the men taking care. It's like,
That's
um,
crazy.
yeah,
That is crazy.
men taking care of women. It's kind of weird,
Do you,
but it's that's how I see it. I'm like,
yeah.
it is just interesting phenomena.
Okay, let's get to the next question. Can you discuss birthing rights and the importance of lotus births having a right to keep our placentas?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that comes from you, you should have rights over, and that includes your placenta. There's nothing
Mhm,
wrong with keeping your placenta. It's part
mhm,
of you. You know, women should be demanding their placentas if they go into the hospital. There's no reason for someone else to take your placenta.
mhm.
You should
Why
be
would
able.
they take it? For those who don't know, why would they take the placenta?
I don't know what they're doing with the placentas. I could speculate what they're doing with the placentas, but
Mhm,
I'm not sure why there's a need to take somebody's placenta unless you're using the cells for something.
mhm,
Um, so any woman who gives birth needs to have her placenta. It's
mhm,
part of the birthing process. It's part of her, and she can do with it however she pleases. I encourage all women to make sure you have your placenta. Some people take their placenta and they bury it in their backyard and put a tree on top.
Some people crush
Other
it and make
people,
pills. Some people crush it and make.
yeah, some of them have it dried out and encapsulate it because it helps to decrease postpartum depression,
Mhm,
and it just helps the healing process. So yes, and then there's the lotus birth. So lotus birth is when you leave the cord and the placenta attached to one another, and it's still attached to the baby
mhm,
until it dries up.
mhm,
And there is a belief that all the nutrients, all of those antibodies continue to be passed on to baby as long as you keep it attached. And so once it dries up, you can, create a ceremony and burn it with candles. And sometimes it just dries up, and then it just falls apart naturally on its own.
Is there any truth to that though? Like the baby's getting the nutrients when you leave it attached longer? Is there truth to that?
I don't know about the studies, if that's what you're asking me, but I believe as long as there's blood pumping through that umbilical cord, there are nutrients being passed.
Mhm,
Once there, my belief now, Once there's no longer any pulsation, I don't think there's anything else being transferred.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's important to me in my practice to not cut the cord until pulsation ceases, totally stops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, some people take it a step further, and sometimes I do it. I actually milk the cord so that all of the blood goes to the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's important to just be patient and wait until it stops. There's no reason to cut the cord early. None. It's like, why are we doing that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just be patient.
Mm-hmm. Somebody left a comment. This is interesting. Somebody said, I'm attractive to the woman more while she's pregnant.
I've heard that before.
Um, you know, that's something you got to experience. Woman, my lady was very attractive while pregnant. And before you have a child, you wouldn't know that. You would just think, but when the woman gets pregnant, she's giving off something. Even the sexes, is popping,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
surprising. You would think, you would be. So it's something. Yeah, there's something to that right there.
yeah. All that blood flow,
Yeah.
enriched
Uh,
blood flow, increased
the-
hormones. Yeah,
there's
makes
definitely
her look
something to that.
full, attractive. She is really in her glory. Like she's
Mhm.
just emanating positivity, emanating, all her power,
Oh yeah, no,
all
definitely.
that feminine energy.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Hmm.
Let's get to some more questions. Yeah, I'm having such a good time tonight, y'all. I'm hoping,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I'm hoping y'all really this is really benefiting y'all, because I know it is, because this is benefiting me a lot, just learning from this. Okay, somebody wanted to know earlier. I didn't get to that. Oh, how do you learn to become a midwife for anybody who's interested?
Well, anyone who's interested in becoming a midwife can go to my website, a woman's way warrior midwife training.com.
Mhm,
And you can apply. We interview you. As long as you have a high school diploma,
mhm,
you have a strong desire to want to support women and children, and you feel that's your calling. And it helps if you've had some birth experience, meaning you've been a birth supportive person,
mhm,
a doula, a lactation consultant, some type of birth support.
mhm,
Um, and my program at the end, once you graduate, you get a certificate of completion, and you're prepared to sit for the NARM exam.
mhm.
After you complete the NARM exam, you will receive your credentials as a certified professional midwife,
Mhm,
whereby you could practice midwifery in about 36 states within the United States.
mhm,
Um, so, yes, that's one way. And then if you want to become a certified nurse midwife, that's a little longer because the requirement is for you to become a nurse. And so they have a school in, I believe, New York City, Columbia. I think they still have a school in Columbia Presbyterian, and also SUNY Downstate program. So you just need to Google certified nurse midwives and see what universities, what schools are offering that program.
mhm. Considering a lot of women go through postpartum, how long do you maintain a relationship with these women once they give birth?
Well, I want to say my relationships with some of my clients are lifelong.
Mhm,
I've birthed like 4 and 5 of their children.
mhm.
We become friends. I'm best friends with one of my
Excellent.
clients.
Mhm,
I try and stay in touch. But when you come into care with my practice, my home birth practice, we usually do 3 postpartum visits. One is done 24 to 48 hours after you have the baby. It's done in your home. And then we do
mhm,
one 7 to 14 days after you've had a baby, erring on the side of 7 more times than none. We really like to stay close to our clients because if something is going to happen, it usually happens within the first 7 to 10 days. And then you can have another one between 4 and 6 weeks.
mhm,
So, yeah, so staying close and connected, even
mhm.
if you're not going to see them, I like to call,
Excellent. Yeah.
check on them, see how they're
Mhm,
doing, how they're adapting to be a first mom or to being a mom, a new mom again.
mhm,
Each one has its own, list of stressors sometimes. It's really important to have a team, a supportive team, a
Mm-hmm.
supportive family, a circle of friends, because everybody wants to come to the birth, and it's like, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
you guys need to come and visit her postpartally. That's when she needs you to come and do the dishes, to
Right. Right.
create a meal train, to walk the dog, to do some laundry, to take care of the other kids, to come sit with her, wash her hair,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So those things are important. That supportive team after you have the baby, to me,
Mm-hmm.
is more critical than, having the team that just, oh, let me watch the birth.
Mm-hmm.
It's more to this than just sitting there and watching the baby come out of the vagina.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's more to what we do as a midwife. It's more
Mm-hmm.
to me assisting your baby coming out of your hoo-ha.
Definitely. Definitely.
It's like looking at you as a whole person, really, and integrating that into your care. It's building that relationship. It's really, those parts are really just as important. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's us talking and connecting and understanding what your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I'm going to do your blood pressure. I'm going to monitor your blood pressure. I'm going to listen to the baby's heart. I'm going to measure your belly to see how much you've grown, see what position your baby's in. And of course, again, listening to the baby's heart, which happens at every prenatal visit.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're going to draw the labs, the blood work that needs to be done initially at 28 weeks, 36 weeks if necessary, order the ultrasound when necessary. So all of those components are important, but the most important parts to me is that building that relationship and nurturing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really validating who she is,
Mm-hmm.
hearing her, it's really giving that kind of love,
Mm-hmm. We
those are the
talked,
important parts.
Sakina, we talked earlier about, women are working much more than they've ever worked, having 9 to 5. Some women have 2 to 3 jobs. This rent is so expensive in so many cities, estates,
Yeah.
groceries at an all-time high.
Oh,
So we are, yeah, we're forced to do a lot more working these days than we did in the past.
I
And
know.
because of that, when we're having these children and the women are getting pregnant, they aren't breastfeeding like they used to breastfeed, and
Yeah.
the children aren't getting that milk from the mother's breast. So, because some women aren't able to do that because of their demanding work schedule, any alternatives you would recommend as far as milk if the woman isn't able to breastfeed? Is there like the next best alternative after breast milk?
Good question.
Thank you.
Because I'm a breastfeeding
Yeah,
advocate.
yeah, I know. I mean, that,
And
I
we
wish.
have a 98% successful
Oh, excellent.
breastfeeding rate.
98%. Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
So yeah, our women in our practice, they breastfeed, and
Excellent.
we are talking about breastfeeding, helping women breastfeed while they're pregnant.
Mm,
That's the important thing, is you need to teach and talk about it during the pregnancy. And after baby is birthed, we don't leave until the baby's successfully on the breast.
mm,
Very few times, unless there's really a huge difficulty.
mm.
I'm not saying you cannot use formula, and you should not. It's just choose the right one, the one that is the closest to breast milk, the most natural. And which one is your choice? So
So,
I'm a huge advocate, as I'm a
somebody, I'm sorry, somebody said goat milk. You ever heard of that? Goat.
yes, goat
That's
milk
it.
is on there,
Ooh,
closest to human milk.
wow,
Yeah, so that one is a great choice. But
wow.
again, it's their body, their
Mm,
baby, their birth, their life.
mm,
So, we talk about all of the options, and then they make the decision.
mm.
What works for you might not
In-
work for someone else.
Indeed.
But there's also breast milk. I forgot the name of it, but people donate their breast
No
milk.
name. I heard about that. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I heard about that.
you could use someone else's breast milk if you're not able to breastfeed for whatever reason, medical, surgical. You know.
Another good question from the chat. Some women have trouble connecting with the child after they give birth. How do midwives help with that?
The first thing is recognizing it.
Mm,
Because sometimes we're so caught up in the way we think things are supposed to happen. And we need to be cognizant of women who are just not ready. They're like, I'm not ready to hold my baby. I'm not ready. I know most women want, after the baby comes out, put a baby on the chest or the belly. Sometimes women are like, wait a minute, I got to come back into my self. Some women have an out of body experience. And so you gotta allow for that pause. That's what I call it, the pause. Once baby is birthed, and I want to say is birth because I don't like to say deliver, because it's like, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything but helping and supporting you. And that is important, but you're doing the work. I'm supporting you and helping you get through that. So it's important to recognize that some women need time. They need a moment. They need to just catch their breath. They need to just get it all back together. Let me get myself back in, my spirit self back aligned. So it's very important to be cognizant of that. Women who are not ready or who are still having difficulty, of course, we're going to, offer some outside help, some therapy, some counseling. That's important to recognize. So that's why it's important to stay connected, so you can recognize those signs and you can refer accordingly.
Okay, let's get to some more questions. Okay. Are epidurals detrimental? Detrimental.
Epidurals can be detrimental. Absolutely. I've seen, I want to say, chronic disorders, chronic headaches from epidurals. I've seen chronic back pain from epidurals. A very personal friend of mine just had surgery. After, let me see, her children are adult children. And she just had surgery from an epidural that happened, I want to say, at least over 20, 30 years ago.
Wow.
She was having some nerve damage issues and wasn't able to, like her legs would just fall out from under her. So it can have collateral damage. Yeah, because remember, it's you going into you're actually numbing the nerves. Numbing the nerves that from your waist down.
Is there any natural alternative to epidurals that you think we use back in the day or that you use in your practice?
So let me just say this. When you choose the right person to support you on your pregnancy, labor, birth, you're diminishing the pain, because that's what an epidural is for, pain.
Yes.
So when you choose the person you trust and you develop that relationship, you're diminishing the pain by at least 20, 25%. When you choose to have a baby in the privacy of your own home, the home that gives you love, that represents culture, that speaks to you ancestrally, that has your children's pictures up, your grandmother's picture, you're diminishing the pain by another 25%. You get it? When you choose a midwife, another 25%. When you choose to have your partner there and other individuals that you have developed a relationship with, that are going to reassure you, that are going to comfort you, you're diminishing it by 25%. Each thing you do, when you use tools like water, walking, movement, singing, birthing in positions that enhance the normal, natural, physiological process, all of that diminishes the pain. And also changing the way you think about pain, that pain is evolving, that there is an endpoint. It's purpose-driven pain, pain with a purpose. And also understanding that what will you go through in life, tremendous changes or shifts. Usually there's some pain around it, some mental, emotional, or physical pain. But out of it, remember what comes out of it. So it's like understanding what pain is first and changing your perception of it, or the way in which you approach it or think about it, helps as well. So you use all these tools. Breathing helps diminish pain, right? Visualization, So using everything, acupuncture does, it's so many things that we use, pressure, counter pressure. So we use all these tools to help diminish pain.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Excellent.
Hmm.
Um, what I just had a question and I forgot the
I'm
question.
sorry.
I
I
just
was
had,
talking too
because you know why? Because
much.
Divinity Warrior, that makes me feel special. You're using I developed
Seven
something called
sacred
the
prayers.
7 Sacred Prayers with a couple of speakers, and she says she's using it as a birth
Mhm.
plan. So that's like special that I created something
Wonderful.
and she's using it as a birth plan. That means a lot. So that kind of threw off my
Yeah. But there are so many tools that people use for pain. They
yeah.
use acupressure and acupuncture in labor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the TENS machine in labor, ice, uh, they use this woman is saying prayer.
Mm-hmm.
They use water,
Mm-hmm.
water, um, water birth, the shower.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they use tapping. I've seen people tap when they are in pain.
Yeah.
So there's so many things you could use to help counter pain, and allowing women to move, allowing women to vocalize diminishes pain,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing who's in the room,
Mm-hmm.
dimming the lights might help. Having music helps.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many things you can do to counter the pain or to help you cope better with the challenge of birth. Yeah. And
Indeed.
we incorporate them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Homeopathics, forgot about that. Chiropractic, so many alternative ways that you can integrate into the process while you're pregnant and also the labor process itself.
Have you ever had problems with some of the young ladies, their mothers? Because I know a lot of the young ladies who are going this route, they're like breaking generational curses. So they're going against the grain in their family, and their family's like against them, and they're like, no, I'm doing this. And the family's trying to convince them not to do it. So have you ever had like an issue where like you're helping a young lady, but their family doesn't like you because
Oh, yes.
how do
Many
you how,
times
how do you handle that?
with grace.
Mm, mm, I can imagine.
Gingerly.
Yeah,
So yeah, you try and find balance,
yeah.
Um, I've been in many situations like that, and it's challenging.
Hmm.
Um, but the most important thing is really encouraging them,
Hmm.
to own their voice and own their power. It's like, this is your body, this is your birth,
Hmm.
right? You didn't ask permission when
Hmm.
it came time to choose your mate, to go to a restaurant,
Hmm.
your vacation site. So why are you giving somebody else power over how you choose to birth, where you choose to birth, and your provider of choice? So
Hmm.
I encourage them from that perspective as well. And also, I also encourage and advise women and couples to invite individuals who are going to add some value to this process
Right.
and that are going to be positive. So the vibration in the room is all positive vibrations
Hmm.
that are helping the process.
Hmm.
Because if you're stressed, you're going to stop your labor. Stress can literally stop the labor. So if
Wow.
you have someone in the room, like your mother or father or grandmother or auntie or whatever, who is totally against your decision to have a home birth, that's not the person you should choose to have there.
Hmm.
Why are they there?
Hmm.
Like, you got to own your
Hmm.
power over your body, over your birth, and your decision.
Hmm.
Use those same tools you use to decide what restaurant you want to go to.
Hmm. Got
You
you.
didn't ask permission for that,
Got you.
right?
Yeah.
So
Got you.
it's like, own your power, own your voice.
All right.
Yeah.
Next question. Where did that question go? Oh, that question. I just had a question I wanted to ask you. Somebody wanted to know. I don't see it, but somebody wanted to know. Okay, is it costly? No disrespect, but is it costly to have a doula? Doula midwife. How
Yeah.
costly is it? Yeah.
So it does cost. We have put value and on our
Indeed.
worth and on the
As you should. As you should.
services
Yeah.
that we offer. So doulas cost. I don't want to quote their cost because I'm not a doula, but I want to say doulas might cost anywhere between 400 and 1,500, I think. So I am a midwife. So yes, there is value in having a midwife, someone who has a strong fund of knowledge and who brings years of experience and who brings you me. I'm going to integrate all those parts of you into this. And I'm also it's going to be implicit bias free. This is going to be a sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm bringing something you will not get in a hospital, you will not get at a birth center. So there is a cost to it. So anyway, the cost to have a midwife is anywhere between, depending on where you are, $3,000 to $15,000, depending on where you are, $18,000.
Mm-hmm.
So in New York, they're charging $18,000, $15,000. I used to work as a midwife, a home birth midwife in New York and New Jersey. And the price point was totally different from here in the South. I'm in the South now, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So those price points were anywhere between 13 and 18, some 20, 23.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the South is anywhere between, I want to say low end is 4. It's you ain't gonna find a midwife to do that, but some do, between 5 and 8, 5 and 10, something like that. It does cost, but it costs to live. It costs to drive a car. It costs to, your apartment is expensive. It costs to do your hair, your nails. So it's like, where are we putting the energy? And get very creative in, trying to enlist family and friends to help you. Like, people can help you. You can create a GoFundMe. You can have a baby shower, a birth shower, where you're being very intentional about, I want everyone to contribute $200 towards my doula fee, my midwife fee. And then there's some organizations out there like Equity Before Birth that will pay for your midwife if you live in that area. I think it's Raleigh-Durham area. So there are organizations that will help those who can demonstrate some type of financial, barrier in their life, and they will actually provide the funds. And there are some insurance companies that will pay for it.
That was the next question. Yeah.
It depends on what state we're talking about. Like New York and New Jersey, they fund major medical insurance will reimburse you, even Medicaid, certain HMOs. In the South, it's been less than, they haven't been very kind to us. But I want to say Christian Health Ministries, Samaritan Health, I'm going to say it again, Christian Health Ministries, Samaritan Health, those will reimburse for our services. They have been very kind to us. They value what we do. They support midwifery. They know that we save lives. So they understand statistically and nationally that we have great outcomes, perinatal outcomes, and they support us in what we do. So if you don't have insurance and you're trying to get insurance, I don't know if you have to be a Christian to be one, to get coverage. I'm not sure. I don't know what the criteria is. Just saying.
Definitely. Somebody wants to know, do you recommend having a midwife for multiple birth, like twins or triplets?
There are some midwives that birth twins and triplets.
Do you?
I just happen not to be.
Okay. Why is that? Why you don't birth twins and triplets? Why is
that? Because, you have to be honest with yourself. This is although it's very satisfying and I love it. I do feel like I'm living in my purpose. It's very exhausting and challenging to be a midwife. This is not for the faint at heart. You have to be a warrior to be a midwife, because you're going against the dominant culture. You are an activist. You think you're not political? Well, don't get in this profession. You're an advocate and an activist. You will be political. Politically involved. So it is not for the faint at heart. And so you have to pick your battles, and you have to decide, how are you going to practice? How are you going to show up? So for me, that was a no.
I love it. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because for me, it's, being safe too, and also valuing who I am and really practicing some emotional justice. It's like, you have to put yourself first too, and you have to find that balance. Self-care is really important. And so you have to create boundaries. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, multiple births is a no.
Mm-hmm.
For another midwife, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been doing this for quite some time, and it is not the easiest, but I love it. I love empowering women. I love seeing the transformation and creating respectful, joy-filled, satisfying. I love seeing a satisfied couple and
Mm-hmm.
satisfying, outcomes and joy and love. And so to me, seeing how transformed a woman is when she has that successful labor birth experience is immeasurable. It's just so it's empowering for me. So I know it's empowering for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's a no. I'm sorry. That's a long way to answer that question.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a battle to do what we do. We are going against the dominant culture. Most women birth in the hospital because we've been indoctrinated to do so, because of this fear-based way of thinking around birth. Um, so we fight a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an advocate a lot. I'm battling.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, since moving here, the battle has not been as arduous. But
As
I
New
have
York.
been in hostile terrain in the north.
Mm-hmm.
Hostile.
I can imagine.
Yeah, very hostile. And it doesn't feel good being interrogated. Um, and like you're at an inquisition.
I was going to ask you earlier, but I wanted to get to some of the questions from the chat.
Sure, sure.
I was going to ask you, how is your relationship with the hospitals and the doctors?
Great.
Great. Okay.
Here,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I've had great relationships, great transfers. Of course, every home birth, the planned home birth doesn't
Mm-hmm.
always end up at home. Some of them are transfers, but great transfers.
Mm-hmm.
I've had great interactions and encounters with EMTs.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say that I've had that in New York.
Mm-hmm.
They're very hostile.
Yikes.
Um, and So I have to say, after moving here, it's been quite a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking years of that. And so that's trauma. And so that's why I said it's not an easy path or journey to walk, because that's a lot of trauma on cumulative trauma, those kind of encounters that you have to unpack. So there's some self-care and some self-work. You have to do that self-care all the time as a midwife.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Indeed. King Simon has your contact information on the screen. This is the sister's IG. Are both those websites the same? Gentle Spirit Birth and a Woman's Way Warrior Midwife Training. They're both the same?
Those are different.
Okay.
So a Woman's Way Warrior Midwife Training is for my school.
That's your school.
And yeah, the training program. And Gentle Spirit Birth is my home birth practice.
Okay.
And so, yeah, he got it right. Those are my handles on Instagram and the website and the PayPal. Oh, if you want to make a donation, thank you.
Let's take a look at
Brother Simon.
your website for your home birth midwifery services. It's a beautiful website, y'all. Make sure y'all go to the website. All right. Home birth midwifery services. Yeah, go to the website, family. Definitely go to the website.
Yeah, they can check it out.
Yeah. Well, it's been a magnificent show. I love that you came on here. Very much needed information. I feel as though times are changing, Sakina, and I feel as though home births are going to become way more popular, and you're going to see a rise in home births. So
Yes,
you're very important. You serve a very important need in our community. So I'm glad that you have a passion for what you do, and just definitely keep doing it. Let's get to one more question, since this is so
sure.
before we leave. Well, this is a quick question. How long does it take to complete your midwife training program?
Good question. For me, it was a long journey because I initially started out as a certified midwife. They had a program in New York where you didn't have to be a nurse, because I had no desire to be a nurse, because I understood how nurses infiltrated our profession.
Ooh,
and
ooh,
contributed to the destruction and elimination of granny midwives. So
ooh.
I had, a little disdain for them for a little while,
Yeah,
but I understand their place. I love nurses. I don't want to have no nursing society coming after me now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, to make a short story, a long story short,
Mm,
I am a nurse. I went back to school to be a nurse
mm,
because I realized I needed to, I want to say, expand my ability to market myself.
mm,
So, first, I was a certified midwife, and then I got my master's degree. Then I went back to school to become a nurse, and now I'm a certified nurse midwife.
mm.
I also sat for the boards to become a certified professional midwife because I love me some CPMs. CPMs are focused on community midwifery and they offer only out of hospital births.
Mhm.
So that's why I started my training program, a woman's warrior midwife training, because I am bent on increasing the number of Black midwives. Because in that is legacy, in that is power, in that is healing. And we
Oh
need
yeah.
more power, more healing in our community.
Are other coaches embracing midwifery and home births more than Black people? Do you know the statistics to that?
Um, it's in the United States.
Yeah, in the United States, yeah. I'm
Um,
yeah, I'm wondering how the other cultures in like
okay,
Hispanic
so
culture, white culture, Asian
I
culture.
know that's a good one.
Yeah.
Let me see how I'm gonna approach this. So let's just say my practice is 70% Caucasian.
What, the people that work there or the people that,
No, my users.
whoo,
Yeah,
whoa, I didn't know that one.
yeah,
Whoa,
yeah. My
70%.
users are about 70% Caucasian women, maybe maybe 20%
Yeah.
African American, and the rest
Mm-hmm.
Asian and others. New York was a little different,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more African American.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're just now coming around. Although that's all we use historically in terms of our history, but indoctrination, that brainwashing, there's something, when you get caught up in that deceptive matrix, caught up in that individualized racism. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
so it's unlearning
Mm-hmm.
and believing in your own body and your own ability.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Mm-hmm.
got to know that you know that you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a lot of unpacking and unlearning,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that oppressive way of thinking. You start to believe it and like, I don't deserve to have a midwife. I need to be in the hospital. I is sick. That
Mm.
kind of,
That
got
kind
to
of, yeah.
turn that around.
No, definitely, 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 definitely.
So I am going to be giving more informational workshops, free in the Raleigh Durham area, so that I can encourage, empower, educate more people, particularly Black community, and the most marginalized, about midwives. It's
Mhm.
important. You got to educate. You got to educate, and inform and raise awareness. Some people don't know. A lot of people don't know the
Mhm.
benefits of having a midwife and the benefits of having out of hospital births, home births.
Mhm. Indeed. Yeah, this is something that other coaches are embracing it, and shout out to them for embracing this ancient practice that we all used to engage in, and hopefully our culture can embrace this as well and understand the importance of home births. Not to say nothing's wrong with hospital births, but
Yeah.
I think this is something that we should consider, we should study, we should look into.
Yeah.
Something that our ancestors did. So I don't think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think it's something we should definitely tap into. What any last thoughts you want to leave with the people before we get out of here, Sakina?
I want to just say to women, to people, to families, to couples, that the strongest thing you could bring to a labor is a strong mind,
Mhm.
a willing heart. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
Ah, Sakina, thank you so much for coming on here. I look forward to having you on again. Um,
Sure, certainly.
maybe I don't want you to beef with the doulas. Can we do a show with you and the doulas together?
Of course. No, they my friends.
All right, all right.
Most of the students in my program are doulas.
I know.
Yes,
I'm messing
of
with you.
course. I love me some doulas.
Yeah, I would love to have a show with a lot of y'all on here together. This is so important, and I
That would be
think that
great.
I think that this is something we have to talk about more often.
Let's
So
do it. Let's do it.
thanks for coming again, Sakina. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you for
Everybody,
having me.
make sure you hit up her website, and I'll see you next time. Brother Rich signing out, family. Peace.